everyone. My name is Esther Bongo, and this is my husband Luke. Welcome to our Power Couples podcast, where we dive into navigating relationships and business. Today, we're here with our good friends, Karoline and Ryan Nav. Karoline is a TC extraordinaire and supermom, and Ryan is a high energy closer and amazing father. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today.
Thank you guys for inviting us.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Let's jump right into it. Give us like the breakdown on how you two met, like the origin story, and then how you transitioned from meeting each other into the real estate / business space.
Ladies always first.
No, you can say it. You can
Okay,
say it.
good.
No, sorry. You can say it.
All right, if you insist. Okay. I'm Ryan Nav. This is Karoline. What was the first question? I'm sorry.
Just how y'all met and the origin story.
Yeah, so we met in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
She was it was a funny story, but we're not gonna get into that. Yeah, we met in middle school. After that, it was like love at first sight. And we just kind of stuck together, and now we're 27 with 2 kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And then so from middle school all the way through, who was the first one to kind of bring it to real estate or entrepreneur lifestyle? Like, how did that conversation pan out?
Yeah, it was me. It was more. I found stocks, and then as soon as I put all my money that I had saved, I was like, how am I gonna keep this going if I'm running out of money? So I was like, how to get money in, how to get rich fast. I forgot how I put it, but I bumped into a few influencers, Brett Daniels, Jamil, and then I found Pace Morby. I kind of resonated with Pace Morby. I'm like, man, I want to be just like this guy, So I started, learning more about him, about the mentorship. And then, she was full supportive on, me becoming like a full blown like entrepreneur. You do, your risk taking, and then, I'm here for you. I'm here for all of it. So that's kind of, how we got started.
So it was full trust just from like the beginning. You said, hey, real estate. And then she was like, all right, let's do it.
Nah, I mean, yeah and no.
Yeah.
So the stocks kind of, it was like a learning curve. She was like, I'm not a risk taker like you, and then as soon as, I invested, I think it was about 4,500 to $5,000, and I made that to 55K. And that was around when Litecoin was $22, Ethereum was 100. So I caught it at a good time. And then when I told her to join, it was Bitcoin was at 2,900. And I'm like, babe, we gotta do it. We gotta do it. And she's like, no, I just got over, a lot of things. So I was like, okay. And then she saw Bitcoin went to like 70,000, and then she's like, so that kind of was like the, I'm not missing a train anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's your take on it?
And well, that's what it was. He with him, it was a lot of proof of concept. Everything he said, it was like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna show you I'm gonna do it. So it was like, okay, and it was just like proof after proof. I'm like, he's never wrong. Like, when is he ever gonna be wrong? And it was not something that it was like that I was hoping he was wrong. It was more of like everything that he's putting together. He's going into Google, he's going into YouTube University, and he searches the most craziest things ever. And I'm like, are you sure you're gonna do this? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And I just sat back, and I was like, okay, let's take the ride. When Bitcoin went to that much money, I was like, okay, like I should have just gave, in and put the $2,900, $100 in. So, and I'm like, okay, well, that's it. We're done. Like, I'm done, going off that. So after that, I was like, whatever you say, bro, because obviously, I don't know. I'm very much of a very low risk taker. So it takes him where he's like, this is the way, babe. And I'm like, are you, yeah? And I don't say, are you sure? Because it's more like, I already know he did that research. So it's like, okay, let's keep on going, So it's just from here, and like I told them before, it's more of trust. You've proven me so many times that it can be done. So it's like, I'm not gonna say no because you proved to me 500 times that you did it. So
You don't want to hear that I told you so. You already passed that, right?
well, he tells me all the time. I told you.
Yeah, but my told you is more like you see, I knew it was right. You know, it's not like told you. You know, it's like come celebrate. You know, like let's go. Let's see it. So
what were your first steps like getting into real estate? So what was that conversation like? Because you saw those influencers, and then what next step did you take?
Honestly, Bread Daniels is like real, like to the meat and potatoes. Just pick up the phone, and you know, I was just sitting on the couch, and you know, I was having analysis paralysis, whereas you know, you're just sucking it all in, and then you know, my personality trait, like I hate that. You know, I feel like I gotta take action. So one time, Brett Daniels, that TTP shirt looked a little bit too tight. He said, "What's gonna happen? You're gonna die from picking up the phone, bro." So when he said that, I was like, "You're right, I'm not." So after that, I was like, the next day, well, that day, I was like, I'm gonna get my list ready. I'm gonna call 60 people tomorrow. So that's how I started. I was like 60 people. Yeah. So I was getting a lot of, in the beginning, I'm not even gonna lie, I did cheat. I did, you know, just call the numbers, and if the voicemail, you know, if I didn't speak to that person, I counted that.
You counted it as
now I look at it like, you a punk. Like, you know, that wasn't 60 people, that was just 60 dials. You know what I mean? I wasn't double dialing, you know, so just looking back at it now, it's just like I laugh, but I'm also proud of myself for just taking the steps and just picking up the phone. But yeah, that's basically how I got started, with just watching Brett Daniels live every noon East Coast time, and then I was just like, you know what, I gotta pick up the phone, I gotta dial, and I wound up bumping into my first land deal. I think it was 2 months. No,
yeah, about 2 months.
Yeah, 2 months down. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then you get proof of concept, you overcome analysis paralysis. During this whole time, what is it like for you on the other side, where you're just like, are you getting pulled into the real estate bubble? Like what kind of ideas are going through your head at this point when you see him lock up that first deal?
First of all, his first assignment fee was like $7,000. And I was like, bro, what the hell? Like, and it's crazy because at the time I just started working at W2, and he's like, hey babe, updating me every single time he has called is, hey babe, I've called 25 people. And I'm like, okay, like keep going, being the supportive cheerleader on the side, so I'm like, okay babe. So I get home and he's like, I think I got a deal, babe. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, it's actually right here. It's not that far. And I'm like, okay. So he ends up talking, the seller was actually a lady, and he goes, you know how I am with my old ladies. So I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but every single time I knew what he meant by that. He's so sweet with older ladies, because he just always had that, he's gentleman, opens the door for the ladies, he does all the things that he needs to, and they just fall in love with his character, right? So I'm like, okay, come down the line, he's like, I found a buyer, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're going somewhere. And like I said, it was just always the consistency with him, where it was like, I have to do this, and he always kept me in the loop of what was next, what he had to do next, or what he has to overcome all the time. So I never felt like I was in a black shadow. It was always like, this is what's going to happen, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to get to it, so I like I told him, I always tell him, I never doubt you, because I know you're going to get it done no matter what it is. If he's like, I'm going to jump off 20 stories down, I know he is. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's going to be done, So it's just those type of things where it's like, I know the type of character he is already. And it's always going above and beyond, it's never like, no, I can't do it. I can never hear him say I cannot do it. He's going to find one way or another to do it. So.
And just to like, what drives me on why I have to do those things and just take an action is like, you ever watched 8 Mile, the movie?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so remember when the mom's boyfriend was just waiting on a check? He's like, oh, I'm waiting on a check, honey. And like, it was just consistent, just waiting. And I don't know if you know the movie Half Baked, the guy on the couch. You know, he doesn't work, he just stays there. You know, so growing up, I was like, I could never be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I could never be that guy waiting for the check or, you know, just laying on the couch and not collecting a check. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things where I play with her, where it's like, if I feel like a deal's not coming, I'm like, man, I feel like the guy on the guy on the couch, you know? So it's just like those little, you know, mental things that I play with myself to, you know, take action. And, you know, if I get nervous, like, you know, don't be the guy on the couch, you know? So, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I guess what were like some of your biggest struggles and then best practices of how you kind of integrate or kind of do your own things and stay in your own lanes for business wise?
So for us, I feel like we finally are getting to that groove where um, sometimes all we do is talk business. You know, I'm transaction coordination. He's, you know, talking about his deals, and there's times that we were talking about like we need to like limit ourselves. You know, like it's not always about business, and I'm like, yeah, but I feel like it's always about business. You know, like it's just always like with him, and he's a big numbers guy, so you know when I have certain things that I'm overcoming, he's my biggest support, you know, where it's like I'm like, babe, I don't know what to do here, and he's like, oh, that's easy, you know, and he'll tell me like, you know, what it is, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, but it's more of
I will go off on a tangent first. Like, I'll be like, what you cooking today? You know, like I'll try to make it seem like, all right, don't worry about it. Like, we're gonna get that. Don't worry about it.
And I feel like he also challenges me a lot also with trying to figure it out myself, you know, because he's like I learned everything from start to, you know, from zero to where I am now. And he goes, and it's just more of the fact that it's like I know the answer, but my thing is how are you gonna find the answer? You know, use your resources, use whatever you have. But back to, you know, separating our lives, you know, we just took a trip to Puerto Rico, and that was our first time actually spending time one-on-one, you know, without the kids, without anyone around. It was just us, you know, so having
How
that
did that feel?
Amazing. It was a really good time, you know, like we didn't even argue, like it was just like
like the norm, you know,
it was, you know, and there's things like that comes a lot into perspective, where it's like when you become parents, you guys know, in not saying that they come in between the relationship, but it's more of like we have to put our heads together, you know, try to work together. And there's times that, you know, I slack off, you know, and he picks up, you know, or there's times that sometimes you don't slack off, but you know, it's like, you know, but it's like, you know, back to there was a post that said, you know, the marriage is never 50-50. It's always like you always got to pick up when the other partner's down or off, you know. And I feel like that's what has helped us a lot too, because it's like he will come to me and be like, how are you feeling today? Like from scale to 0 to 100, and I'm like, about a 50. He'll be like, okay. So he already knows that the other 50% he has to pick up or, you know, help out or whatever the case might be. So I feel like balancing that out now, you know, spending time together, even though like he tells me my bedtime is 9 o'clock, and I'm like, let's be realistic. You know, like by the time we put the kids to bed, you know, even though it's 8 o'clock, sometimes they want to play around and, you know, talk to us, and they're, you know, give me another bedtime story or whatever. You know, it takes time, you know. So what is the real time that we're actually spending time together? You know, so it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then he's like, okay, I'm tired, let's go to bed. You know, so I feel like that's it. I mean, I don't know.
With the I do have a question. When you talk about like the kids, what do you feel like? Some people say there's no balance, but it's integration with work. How do you feel like you're not, or what's the rhythm you guys have to not feel guilty about the amount of time you're spending with your kids, like versus business and growing the business?
I feel like there's no balance. I feel like when like I'm a big like believer in taking your kids everywhere, you know, like especially like when it's business. So it's like, let's say I have one of like my oldest daughter is 4, right? She comes with me to house inspections. Like, come on, I'll get you ice cream. Sometimes she doesn't really like it because the place stinks or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, she she needs to know that smell is money. You know what I mean? Like when me and her need to talk business, we know, okay, we're gonna put the girls to color and do this, right in front of us. Let's take care of them first, so we can then just huddle around them and just continue our conversation. So I feel like there's really not like balance. I just feel like it's just like just handling it and keep it going. To be honest, that's the only thing that I could give you an answer for. Whereas like, instead of stressing about, oh, we don't have time for this or we don't have time for this, like let's just just let it play out and just enjoy our life. You know what I mean? Like, just remember that we have to continue whatever we have to continue, and they don't really need us at the moment, if that makes sense. Because they go to school, we teach them, we spend time, we go to the park, we go here, and we as parents need to understand that we need time for ourselves too. Because if we just not invest in ourselves, especially at an early age, we're both 27, we gotta invest in it now. I thought she was gonna say, well, you're about to be 28, so that was better than what I thought. So I just feel like it's prime time right now. We at that early stage where, okay, we do have kids. It's not unfortunate because I love my kids. My kids, they push me every day to do what I gotta do. So I feel like the balance is like, they are my balance. Like, they balance me to the point where it's like I gotta be a good dad, and I also have to be a good investor to support that. That the things that me and my daughter want, the things that I want for my daughters, so we could go, have a pool in the backyard, go jet skiing, have a yacht, things like that. So that's on my vision board. And, that's like, in the back of my mind, that even though it's for, us and our future, is more, for, the legacy that they're gonna,
take over.
Yeah, take over. So that's how I feel.
I love that you said that. That's, a lot of people's why obviously is their family and what they can provide, but really it's it's internal too, like the things that you always wanted to do that maybe your parents or people you were looking up to couldn't do, or you learned something from them on how they approach a situation, and you carried that forward and you took it to the next level, right? It's building blocks. So maybe you dedicate your entire life to like set up for the next generation, but in the meantime, you still got to enjoy the moment and who you're sharing it with. So that's
absolutely,
that's a beautiful way of putting all that. I guess, we're rounding out the year. What do you think, or what do you look to accomplish as you round out the year and kind of like put a stamp on 2023? Both of you.
You go first.
You sure, ladies first? Go ahead.
Oh, well, before the year ends, my biggest goal is to build my team. Transition coordinated by myself has been overwhelming in a good way, but it's more of the time where it's like, yes, I have a W-2, but it's, again, how am I gonna make this a business, right? One thing that he mentioned, not so long ago, was about have a close family member who owns his own, business, but he's an operator in his own business. Mm-hmm. How are you gonna make your business work while you're not there? So that put a lot of perspective in me, and I'm like, okay, well, now it's time for me to grow my business and start hiring and get to the next level. Because, back to community camp when we went, it was like, oh, okay, now you're in step 1. What's the next step 2? Right. And I'm getting to that step 2 where it's like, what do I need? I know I feel uncomfortable hiring people because it's, everybody works different. Mm-hmm. But it's more of like, how are you going to teach and train the people you hire so your business can continue growing and escalate as much as you can, right? Because to the stars for right now. But it's more of the fact that it's a little difficult for me. A lot of probably mindset, and I have a lot of working to do by myself. So those are things that I'm working on before the year ends.
Okay. So we put a stamp on it, first employee before the year ends, or were we
Oh yeah,
looking
absolutely.
for sure? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a lot of training that you have that has to go through, because when it comes to hiring, you can hire anyone, but it's more of the fact that it's like, how are you going to play out? How is it going to work? You know, being in the TC business, yes, is virtual, but it's more the fact that you have to find time to train that person, spend that one-on-one time with that person, you know, because I'm reading it now and I'm like, okay, you know, so it's been a journey, you know, and I cannot thank him enough to putting that right in front of me, you know, where it's like, this is your lane, you know, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, you know, looking into it, and I'm like, no, you know, and then that's what put me into real estate, you know, because at the beginning I was like, okay, he's like, you should become a realtor, and I'm like, for what? You know, but I didn't understand his vision, and I didn't understand the purpose behind it, you know, and then a year later it's like, oh, this is what you mean by, he was like, you finally seeing what I've been trying to put in front of your face like the whole entire time. And I'm like, got it, you know. Now it, like I said, now it's just more of a, I can't miss a train with him, because it's more of like, he's gonna always go or look for something new adventure, and it's like, if I don't jump on it with him, he's gonna keep on going, and he's gonna keep on going. So it's like, that's what makes me want to like learn more and be you know, on that level with him, because it's like, not only do I see him as my husband, but it's more as a partner. You know, how are we going to escalate together? How are we going to build this legacy for our kids? You know, because it can't be done just by one.
And so you're not, you know, there was a lot to unpack there, but it looks like you're not intimidated by his vision and his drive, but you're using it as an opportunity for yourself to, like, you know, discover and continually grow, versus like shrink back and be like, this is too much. Like you're actively, you know, the you from like right now is completely different from, you know, 6 months ago, a year ago. So you're continually growing with him. And I think that brings you guys closer together as you grow as well. So that's a beautiful way of putting that.
Thank you.
And I also just want to piggyback on what you said. She does, like, you know, like, I feel like sometimes she does get small, like what you just, I don't know, I forgot what you said, where it's like, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, like things are moving so fast, but it's like, it happens to me too, you know, and I make sure that she's aware of that, where it's like, you know, with real estate and just everything that we have reached to, just as, you know, of just the community that we have, the different type of communities, the different type of people. It's like, you meet this person, it's like, yeah, this is where I want to go. And you think that you're right there. And then you meet this person's like, and I know I'm not comparing it. It's just like, man, I could be up there. It's like, maybe this person just chose this path because this is his, and I just chose it because I thought it was bigger than mine. But then when I hear this person, it's like, yeah, I like this one. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's times where I'm like, babe, like, I gotta step it up. You know what I mean? So I put a lot of pressure on myself that then creates pressure on her. So then it's like, we're both like this, but at the end of the day, we're still growing. You know, we're bigger than that small version that we was when we, you know, felt that we got big. You know what I mean? So that's all I want to
I think what you're like, what I feel like you're saying in my mind is like, you know, when you like, you make, oh, they got there. Brief technical difficulty there, but we're back. And what I was saying before is like, when you speak on like elevating constantly and constantly growing, and you mentioned kind of like that shrinking back, I think that, you know, that's part of it. When you see that next echelon and you just realize, oh shoot, like I'm not as big as I thought, and then you can expand to fill that space and really hit that next level. So I think that's part of growing, is to see how much more there is left for you, and you never really reach like the end until like the rest of your life. Like there's just, you keep going and you keep growing. Your mindset is really the only thing keeping you from that next level. And as you consistently grow, I mean, sky's the limit, right? So
yeah, abundance mindset, absolutely.
Abundance, yeah. That's what we have for him.
Yeah. So if you guys met a new couple and they were starting out in business or in real estate, what advice would you have?
Trust the one that's leading the pack.
You said what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust the one that's leading the pack.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
I feel a lot has to do with trust, especially like, you know, in a partnership. I feel communication as well. You know, earlier she spoke about, you know, I was updating her like, hey, you know, I did 25 calls, I did 25 calls, I did this, I did that. And, you know, she's saying like, keep it going, you know. So that right there was communication, you know, support. You know, it was a lot of things that could be unpacked that, you know, that was there. And I feel like yeah, I'm successful in, you know, what I've done for, you know, yeah, I'm successful for what I've done, but it was all with her support. You know what I mean? So without her support and her telling me like, yeah, babe, like, or giving me them little, you know, like, you know, those little friend
I
things,
just
like,
feel like
she like, yeah, okay, bro. You know, like, cause that's how we are. We have like a best friend. Like that's my
that's
sister.
my bro.
Yeah. So, you know, we try to keep the, you know, just things like that. So I feel like that's, you know, just keep it funky, you know, with your loved one, you know, and your partner.
Awesome. I don't think we got where you are trying to end the year at. Like what's your plans, Ryan, for rounding out the year?
To be honest, this year was a great year as far as business, but it was a lot on me on the personal side. So for the rest of this year, I'm just more focusing on my transition in the business, because the first year, my second year or second, I think I'm going on 3 years.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
going on
right.
my third
Right
year.
quick on it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going on my third year. So the first year was like just the wholesale and learning the investor side. The second year was more like learning from my mistakes and, you know, still wholesaling, but you know, it kind of slowed down because that's not really what I wanted to do. You know, Alex Hormozy, what he said, you know, what got you from 0 to 1 is not going to get you from 1 to 2. You know, so in my head, you know, I'm writing down my goals that wasn't aligning with wholesaling. So that's the reason why I kind of had like a fog where I felt that I was on the right track, but I really wasn't, because in my head, I really want to focus on more buying, you know, buying for the future. After I acquire, you know, a few, you know, properties underneath my belt, I want to go to more of the multifamily and just start going a little bit more hard on the business side, like the business buying. You know, I love 3 industries that I'm looking to, you know, transition into next year. So that's basically like, you know, it's not really like a 2023, you know, it's kind of like a 2023 and 2024.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it really has to take part with the personal thing that I went through this year.
Yeah.
Because I trust myself, I know where I'm at, and you know, my goals in my journal know where I'm heading and what's the steps that I need to take. You know, baby steps and, you know, big steps.
Okay, so you mentioned journal, like, so it's not just it all just comes to you, right? You have a process of like a way that you break down, you know, your inner thoughts and how that translates into execution. Like, can you break down like how that plays for you? Like how important is your journal for your process?
Yeah, I feel like
And your posters.
Well, we got an extra scoop.
yeah.
He's a very visual person. I remember him saying when he first started real estate, he goes,
Started getting hot.
he said, he got these big posters, and in these big posters he started putting everything he wanted, or you know, when he was talking to someone, he goes, you're gonna see these posters all over the house. And I'm like, no, bro, you're not about to have them all over the house. No, he did have them all over the house. Like, so
Slowly but surely.
see, the other day he had one in the kitchen. You know, he was like, this is gonna happen, you know, and he's drawing and all
I
this
said,
stuff.
this is me, and I also have your board too. And I picked up the board and I said, listen, so this is what you're gonna do. I feel that this right here, because it aligns with what you was talking about last week about this and then this and then this. So I'm real passionate about it. Just visualize it on a big, you know, like I feel like it takes me back to when I was a kid. You know, you ever get when you're a kid, you get the big colorful construction paper. It's like, yeah, mom, I'm gonna put a Tonka truck here. They want to see like a show and tell of everything that I like. Okay, I get this, I get this, I get that. I make it look pretty. So it's like, as an adult, I feel, to keep it fun, I still have to do the same thing. You know what I mean? So I go get the colorful papers, I go get the colorful markers, and I just start writing. And if I want, like, I'll draw like little pictures. Like, remember the whole like wholesale process?
Mm-hmm.
I drew like little pictures of like people shaking hands, and then I drew like little stick figures too. And it's just like, it just gave me more clarity. Like, okay, me drawing this picture is like, yeah, okay, this paper right here is the purchase and sale agreement.
Mhm.
This one right here is the assignment one. This is where we get paid. You know what I mean? So, as far as like the journaling, going back to touching back on the journal, like every morning I wake up at 4:30 to 5. I know I said the 4:30 to 5 because sometimes it's just like 4:30 is just too early for me.
Hit the snooze at least once, you
I mean, not really. It's not really the snooze. It's more like I just stare at the ceiling for the 30 minutes. Like, I want to go back to sleep, but in my head I know that I'm not hitting the snooze, and I'm still at the gym before everybody else is at the gym. So with the journal, I write down 10 things that I'm grateful for, and then the next page, I told you earlier, my daughter's is what pushed me and stuff like that, my lady. So it's like, as soon as I say I'm grateful for that, I already got a good clear mind. So it's either I would think about my next steps, and then if it sounds like it's gonna take 3 steps to get there, I'll talk about 1A, 1B. And then go to 2A, 2B, because there's always steps in between the steps that you need, for the further path. So that's just what I do. I just like to, think of all, cases, worst case scenario, best case scenario. And I always start with the worst case because, there's so many people out there making, decisions. And I'm not gonna say bad decisions because it's still decisions. At least they're making a decision. It's like, I feel like, you know what, I'm gonna learn from this person, and that's all I'm gonna take. And then that's pretty, how my journal is set up. It's like someone else, okay, they've been through this, I've been through this. How am I gonna go through this? And that's basically like my journal is literally like a breakdown of step-by-step action, planning. Excuse me.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's super helpful.
Just like, I think the first thing that steps out to me when you said that is like, everybody always, or a lot of the higher level investors always say you need to have like a campfire of people around you, right? And they don't really emphasize that it needs to be in your own space too, right? You can't be around somebody 24/7. So when you go home for the day and you're around yourself, maybe the people that are in your household, having the vision board and the journal and like the papers and the colorful drawings everywhere you turn kind of creates that campfire at home, so that when you exit the house again, you're still surrounded by the things that that drive you, right? So I think that's a beautiful thing to do, and I'm definitely going to steal that, because we have a couple of reminders, but it's not like when people learn a language, they stick everything, right? But when you have that drive and vision, people, they just, where is it at? Like, you can't really have reminders of it anywhere, but being able to have the little toy car or like those images, I think is a really, it kind of is a testament to your dedication, really. So I appreciate you sharing that, man. And
yeah, I don't know if you remember the brainstorming bubbles.
Yeah,
bro, I love it. Like the main thing, like right now, mine is like cash flow, equity, ownership, and diversity. Diversified.
Mm-hmm.
So I have all 3 of those, and then I just have like how I'm gonna do that. And I start brainstorming, like, okay, short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, okay, long-term rentals. So it's things like that, So I'm glad that you took that for sure. We got to keep the elementary school teachings still,
Yep.
I feel like
that's like people out, they like unlearn their creativity and their playfulness, but that's been like the key for y'all to keep pushing. So I really, that's That's
I kind of reminded her. Well, I kind of reminded her like how to be a kid again. Like, oh
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've always liked, papers, and that's why I feel like I enjoy being a TC because
Mhm.
even though I have my CRM and I have all that stuff online, but it's more of I need my folders, I need my papers, I need my highlighters, to remind me and show me like this is what needs to get done. I have like 2 agendas. And he tells me all the time, he goes, I wish I could be as organized as you because I'm all over the place. But I told him the other day, like everyone knows their own mess, right? Like everyone is organized in their own way. So I understand when I see notebooks on top of the like dining table to not touch them because that's his stuff, And at first I used to be rude and I used to put them away because they didn't belong there. I'm really
close the book, like I'm on that page, like so like I just want to touch on it because that's a really funny thing. I really I have like these the legal pads, right? Mm-hmm. So you just writing, writing, and then you just leave it there. That's like where you stopped. It's like you ever just go somewhere, stop thinking about that, and then come back. It's like, oh, that's where I left off.
Got it right here. I just be tearing the pages out at this point. I don't want to lose them.
I don't like tearing it off because it's like if I wrote it for a reason, it's like, man, I gotta come back to that.
You gotta flip through it.
You know what I mean? So it's like I just have like a whole bunch of them, and I just leave it at that. Leave it at that. So if she would come and just fold it up, and I'm like, dun dun dun, like why would you do that?
There's been some growth then because she said she used to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, and then I feel like that's what it is, like a lot of baby steps, with me, personally, because he has done his, growth, he's self-development, it's freaking skyrocket. It's like sometimes I'd be like, I can't believe that you're this person back in high school or in middle school, and it's just like compared to how he is now, it's so different, and it goes back to like how everybody says, self-development is a lot, and I remember him telling me, you're just so focused on being a mom, right? Because that was my biggest thing. I want to be a mom, I want to be a great mom, I want to do this, I want to be that extraordinary mom, right? But it was just like, he brought to my attention, like, what's going to happen when the girls grow up? How are you going to always just think about the girls, and I'm like, he goes, not saying that you're not supposed to, but you also have to think about yourself, right? What is Karoline going to do when the girls go to high school? What is Karoline going to do when the girls go to college? So these are the things that he puts, like he tests me, right? It's like, what are you going to do when the girls are no longer at home? And I'm like, damn, you're right. Like, what am I going to do? So it's like, it just plays back to how, self-development has bring him, to the person he is now, even though with me in the picture with our kids, so it's like a lot of things that happen and he just plays it back. He never just thinks about himself. It's just always like, what are you going to do? How are we going to get there? How are you going to get to the next level? It's never, you have those people where it's just like, it's me, but it's never been like that with him. It's always been like,
that's a credit to you too, because you can't force somebody into self-development. Like I'm always challenging Esther as well, and I'm just like, okay, like what about this? What about this? And then, since we've joined Sub 2, just in the less than a year, really 90% of our, especially her growth, has been in the last like 6 weeks. Really, like from community camp, like on the plane, she's like, I found out what I want to do, and then. She's like TC, like she took it by storm. From that point forward, she's been at speaking events. She's networked with way more people than ever before.
Let's go.
It's an immediate value add. So, shout out TCs for sure. And, you feel good because you're providing value. People are making money around you and you're building your campfire. And, I think, I would definitely say that she's grown a lot from.
I'm definitely proud of you for sure.
Proud of you.
So,
funny.
I'm in
yeah,
the top tier. I'm in the top tier TC. I see you.
Oh yeah.
exactly. You know, we're supporting our own, and
Yeah.
you know, it's never competition. It's always, you know, it's collaboration and just support. You know, she's given us so much advice to Esther,
Mhm.
and you know, we try to reciprocate whenever we can. You know, you guys have been awesome in our journey and a pivotal piece for sure. You know, I hope this is just the start of a good friendship. Hopefully, we can make some money together, man. And you know, if you want to wrap it up, you know, we can.
Yeah. Thank you guys again for taking this time, and just tell us like how people can reach out to you on social media.
Well, I have IG or Facebook. You know, my IG is there. Carol V, instead of Carol G, but there's Carol V, 2 A's, and then you have Ryan Nav.
Yep. Right now, I actually have a YouTube that I'm actually gonna start. Showing the face and showing some content, some more content about who I am. So yeah, everything is just Ryan Nav. Just trying to.
Text us the link to your YouTube, and then we'll put it on this video.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure. All right, appreciate y'all once again, and you know, have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.